Sup YouTube, it's TCG here and welcome back to another TCG video on my channel. On this channel I get daily Pokemon TCG uploads, so be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. Actually, 68% of you people that are watching the daily uploads are actually not subscribed, so be sure to recheck if you haven't already. With that being said, if you're enjoying the content, let me know by rocking the hell out of the like button. Only requires one tiny second every time and does help out the channel tremendously. So today we're going to be talking about the buy list for the Twilight Masquerade set. This is going to be another humongous set, and it's going to be a set legal for the World Championships over in August in Honolulu, Hawaii, which I'll be attending to, which is I'm super excited for this set. As always, I'm not going to be talking about every card in this set. We're only going to be talking about the cards that are good, so you can just write them down in your notebook, so or print screen or whatever you do to remember all these cards. So without further ado, let's dive into this video. So the first card being the Iron Leaves. Here it's a future Pokemon. I personally would include 1 or 2 copies into your binder here because of the Vengeful Edge. You can actually slap 100 damage plus, if any of your Pokemon were knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's last turn, you actually can slap 60 additional damage, means 160 with your future boost energy capsule. You can actually one-shot a Charizard with that. So don't sleep on this Iron Leaves. It can actually be interesting, and also allows you to put 2 Pokemon from your discard pile back into your hand. So it could be maybe mixed around with in something like a future box deck. You can get it off with something like the Reboot Pod and maybe attachment an energy switch, or you can also try and incorporate it into a Lost box deck with 1 or 2 copies of the future boost energy capsule. Is something I've already seen happening with this card. So put 2 copies in your binder. It is definitely going to be interesting. As you can see, so many cards in this format, actually in the set, that you actually don't have to pay attention to. So that's why we are currently only looking at the most powerful cards you want in your binder. Next is going to be Froakie. Very good with the Flock attack. Search your deck for 2 Froakie and put them instantly on the bench. So very great when you go second to just fill up your bench with a couple of Froakie. Very good. You also need, for that matter, you need 4 copies of Froakie. Then you would need 1 or 2 copies of the Forgadier, because you're gonna maybe make a deck with Greninja EX at one point. So Greninja EX, before we dive into the other Pokemon here, I'm actually gonna be putting Greninja EX on here as well. You need 3 copies into your binder as well. It's a stage 2 Pokemon that might see some relevance even when it just releases until its lifespan, because it's just that powerful. 170 damage for 1 single energy, and you can get any card you want from the deck into your hand. And then Duplicate Barrage can slap 120 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. So play some Canceling Clones, Prime Catcher, etc. And even stuff like Manaphy does not stop this deck from taking multiple prize cards. Then, moving forward, we have seen the lightning types currently. So I would, maybe put in 2 copies of this Morpeko here. I think this Morpeko actually could be useful in something like, for instance, a Miraidon deck that wants to use those electric generators. And with this Morpeko, you can actually look at the top card of your deck and then you may discard it. So that could help out. You can also try and play this into an ancient box deck to just discard more of your ancient cards very quickly, or just to peek, oh, it's an energy, that means I can use an electric generator in a lightning deck. So this Morpeko might eventually see its use in specific decks. You need 4 copies of Iron Thorns, because it's going to be an archetype by itself. Doesn't need any other Pokemon in the deck, because of Initialize. That ability shuts down any ability that has a rule box. Every Pokemon with an ability that has a rule box is shut down from the opponent's side of the field, meaning that Radiant Greninja is not going to be able to draw cards. Stuff like the Bloodmoon Ursaluna is not able to touch you. Stuff like, for instance, Chivalry Chill, forget about it. Infernal Rain for Charizard, forget about it. Quick Search, all those abilities shut down completely. You're playing Iron Thorns with some disruptive cards. I already talked about Iron Thorns in a video before. There's a link there down below in the description as well if you want to learn about Iron Thorns EX. So 4 copies of Iron Thorns. Then I would be including 1 copy of this Enamorus into your binder. It could be nice in a Lost box deck to just have a way to slap 200 damage. If you have a Pokemon with the same name type, if you have a Pokemon with the same type as one of your opponent's Pokemon in play, you slap 120 more damage. And with like Rotom being in a lot of decks out there, you could be just simply slapping down Raikou V, then use 4 Steel Stone in your Lost box deck. And there's a lot of things you could do with Enamorus here. And also with Greninja EX being weak to Psychic, this could be a cool one-off in your binder. Then a one-off Screamtail EX actually shuts down the opponent from playing supporter cards. You can only use this attack if you go second and only on your first turn. So a little bit niche to use. use, because you might think, oh, we can include it in Gardevoir, but you will need to start with it because Gardevoir does not play Switch Out. It is for colorless energy though, so a lot of decks out there that do run on free retreat Pokemon, like for instance a Dunsparce or something, can actually attack in the Screamtail EX to make sure the opponent is bricking, which is helping you out, yeah, a ton. So I would just include 1 copy, not more is necessary. Then this Ting-Lu is actually pretty strong. Ground Crack slaps 30 damage, and if a Stadium is in play, this attack does 30 damage to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. You might actually, this is not going to be that expensive. I would include 4 copies because this could bench wipe a couple of situations here. 30 damage to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. That is actually huge. That is like, who remembers Flying Flip, right? I know Manaphy is in the format right now, but yeah, spreading so much damage across the field is actually pretty damn huge. I would include this copy, not this one, this copy of the Applin, what am I saying? This copy of the Applin, you need 4 copies because there is a Applin in the format. We're going to be going to that Applin right now that you also need like maybe 3 copies of, because it actually comes back with a crazy attack. Do the wave, you're actually slapping 20 damage for each of your bench Pokemon, and you're able to attack again if the stadium is in play Festival Grounds. So with that being said, you would also need Festival Grounds, but more on that later. Let's just develop our binder a little bit by a little bit. So moving forward, we need, I would say, 2 copies of Bloodmoon Ursaluna EX. 1 is even sufficient, to be honest, because this card is gonna rack a lot of board states, because if the opponent has taken a lot of prize cards, you can attack for almost no energies with the Bloodmoon. 1 card's energy lasts for every prize card the opponent has taken. A monster's 260 HP. You could even make a deck with this with some penny looping and maybe Heroescape and all that good stuff. So you have like 360 HP and you use the penny time and time again. That could be an option, but I would just be more fan of like playing 1 or 2 copies into your deck that you want to be having this. Like whether you're playing Lost Box, Lugia, it doesn't matter. You can attack in this card in almost any deck out there. So 2 copies in your binder for sure. All the ace packs, I would just get 1 copy in your binder. Unfair Step is going to be the name and face of a lot of archetypes out there, and it's going to be very disruptive indeed. Hyper Aroma, currently only used in the Goldango EX deck as of late. You could also try it out in Gardevoir, but Gardevoir is more fan of the Unfair Stamp. There's the Survival Cast, which you also need. If you're playing Lugia, you need this. If you're not playing Lugia, you might just want to wait until until this card actually drops in value. Enhanced Hammer is back. You need 4 copies unless you already have some old school copies laying around somewhere in your house. Then we do see some supporters. This is an interesting one. You can flip-flop 2 Pokemon in hand for 2 Pokemon in the deck. So pretty much double up on Pokemon communication, if you remember that card. But it is a supporter card, so unfortunately there's that. So yeah, you want, trainer cards are usually not that expensive, so just put 4 copies of that into your binder. You never know. Lana's Assistance being used in Lost Box decks. You can get 2 or 3 copies into your binder. That should be sufficient to last yourself through the season. Community Center, actually you need only like, yeah, just put 4 copies in. It's a really cheap card and allows you to heal 10 damage from each of your Pokemon. And only if you played a supporter that turn, which most of the times will happen. See some of these being played in Gardevoir. There's Boomerang Energy. You need 4 copies. If you attack something and you actually discard energies with your attack, you can actually get them back with the Boomerang Energy. Very, very solid indeed. Then, if you really hate Charizard, put this in your binder. If you don't, just disregard this. Sunflower is actually going to be the only way. Like, Charizard could even play around this, so it's a really bad card. Don't include it. Just wanted to get you guys noted right there. Then you would need, I would say the Ogerpons here. They are actually interesting if you want to be creating a deck with them. Teal Mask Ogerpon EX allows you to accelerate a grass energy and drawing a card. Also hitting that beautiful grass weakness against Charizard, as well as Roaring Moon. And you also have other Ogerpons. For this copy, I think you need 3 of them because this actually is a very one of the better Ogerpons out there. So you got 3 of these. Then maybe 1 of these. I'm not 100% certain, only if you're a believer, but 1 of these, so you can maybe work with something like the Rainbowish Energy that is coming into this format, as well as an Ace Pack, so that could be used to power up these different attack costs. And also you might think, why do we need all these different Ogerpons? That's because you need a copy of this specific card. It is called the Ogre's Mask, allowing you to flip-flop an EX Ogerpon with an EX Ogerpon in the discard pile. So very cool. That means you also need one copy of this Water Ogre type Ogerpon Wellspring Mask, allowing you to use sniping capabilities as well as stall with the sub. This is one of the more powerful EXs. Maybe play 3 copies of that. Actually get 3 copies of that in your binder, because stall and control archetypes could also use this. It prevents all damage from attacks done to this Pokemon by your opponent's Pokemon that have an ability, and there's a lot of Pokemon with abilities out there. Think about Charizard EX, think about chien-pao EX. A lot of Pokemon have abilities, so it is a very, very strong ability to have in a card. So whether you're playing an Ogerpon deck or just playing a deck revolving around stall and control-ish abilities, that's going to be one of those you definitely want to have. Then you want to have Milotic. I don't know if you've already have some Phoebus. If not, throw them in the mix. A 2/2 line should be sufficient. This Milotic prevents the opponents from playing cards that allow Pokemon to get returned to the hand. So stuff like Turo will not work. Scoop Up Cyclone, the new A-Spec card, will also not work. So this blocks that. Sometimes people will have to... could actually include this Milotic for specific matchups. I am also a big fan of this Frostlass, which actually puts 1 damage counter on each of your opponent's Pokemon and play with an ability, which is very similar to Shrine of Punishment. So if you can maybe play something like Mawile to trap the opponent while the damage counters every single time go between them. If you set up some additional Frostlass, this actually can be very worthwhile. On top, you will also need some Snorrens with that. So I don't know if you want to be checking this out, but maybe including a 4/4 line because they're cheap is not bad. Then for Finizens, this is actually not bad, slapping 30, also able to one-shot a Charmander that has 60 HP, which is hilarious. This Palafin you need, if you want to be playing that Palafin EX deck, this actually, you need 4 copies, because if you evolve into this and then flip yourself to the bench, you can transform the Palafin, put it back in the deck, and then transform it to Palafin EX, a stage 1 monstrous Pokemon with 340 HP, allowing you to slap 250 damage for a single water energy. Maybe with the Dunsparce for some pivot options on top of some switches, can actually make this a viable deck. Continuing with our Twilight Masquerade set, I see here there's an interesting Clefable here that can actually copy paste the opponent's Pokemon's attack without needing the required energy. So maybe a 2/2 line of Clefable into your binder, you could tag that in. It requires double turbo energy to go crazy, which is actually a pretty interesting way to go about it. I would also include 1 copy of this Monkey Dory, because if you're playing I would say a Darkness type deck, you can actually just attach an energy to this fella to just put 3 damage counters from one of your Pokemon to one of your opponent's Pokemon. That could really help out specific scenarios for sure. Then there is also, not a lot to see here in the Darkness division. Not a lot to see. You would need 4 copies of Dreepy. It's Dragon type, no weakness. Eventually evolving into Dracloak, which actually has the Airmail ability back in the days of Pidgeotto. Once during your turn, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put one on the hand and the other on the bottom. So as a draw engine, is very great. You don't discard resources and you keep on getting cards in hand. Very strong for the ability alone. You'd also, if you are a believer of Dracopult EX, adding 3 copies of Dracopult EX. Phantom Dive is actually pretty scary. That allows you to sweep boards, putting 6 damage counters on your opponent's bench Pokemon. And stuff like Jirachi does not even stop this, because this is an evolution Pokemon, very interestingly. Tatsugiri, put 2 copies into your binder, because this actually has a great ability. Looking at the top 6 cards of your deck, reveal a supporter card you find there and put it in hand. So has some Iono or Unfair Stamp protection. If you have Tatsugiri in the active, you can actually use its ability to get a supporter of choice. And of course, when you're playing already a couple of switches like in a Lost Box deck, or if you are playing the Escape board, you can actually make use of this Tatsugiri as protection for Disruption card. Then Chansey, put 4 copies into your binder and 3 copies, maybe 4 copies of Blizzy X even, because this actually is an interesting deck together with Sharon's Care and Professor Turo's Scenario. You can actually loop these Blizzies time and time again, because they actually come packed with Happy Switch, allowing you to put a basic energy card from one of your Pokemon to another, meaning that you can get away with using Sharon's Care and getting another Blizzy set up in 1 turn. And it also comes back with draw power because of that return attack. Very strong in my book. Then we do need the Waking Whistle if you're a Snorlax block believer. Add in 4 copies in your binder. Looking at the top 5 cards of your deck. Put any number of basic Pokemon you find there onto your opponent's bench. Very disruptive indeed. The Secret Box, I don't know if I'm that big of a believer, but every ace pack you can pull, put in your binder because this might see play at one point. I haven't seen a lot of people in Japan playing this, so it's not that good in my opinion, allowing you to discard 3 cards in hand and then get yourself an item, a tool, a stadium, and a supporter. So I don't know how to feel about this. This could also be a way to discard Archeops and Lugia, but Lugia's way better off using that survival cast. Scoop Up Cyclone is back. You can also use your older copies, but this is the ace pack. Every ace pack, 1 copy in your binder, I suppose. Bug Catching Set, 4 copies. This actually gives some boost to grass-type decks, even though grass-type Pokemon are like not that great currently. Handy Fan, very great for control and disruption. We have 4 copies in our binder. Kieran allows you to slap 30 more damage to your opponent's active EX or V Pokemon, so that can actually help out in combination with something like Maximum Bout to hit the required numbers. And also, if you don't want to use that, you can also use it as a switch. That's that. Festival Grounds, you need that for your Applin fella to just actually Diplin to get that continuous attack going. So that's pretty interesting, and you cannot get affected by special conditions, I suppose. Jamming Tower, I don't know, maybe 3 copies. You can actually shut down all tool cards in play, from Survival Cast to Maximum Belt to stuff like Heroescape. Everything is shut down, helping you out against specific archetypes. Legacy Energy as an ace pack, allowing you to be having a rainbow energy attached as well as Live Do, making sure if the opponent knocks you out, they take 1 fewer prize card. So that's pretty interesting. And that's pretty much it for the buy list. So hopefully you noted that all down into your beautiful notepad so you know which cards are good, which cards are bad, and which cards can become part of your binder, your competitive binder, for when you want to be making decks from this set. If you guys enjoyed the video, let me know by rocking the hell out of the like button, and also go check out our sponsors for today, DragonShield.com, for your sleeves, binders, and deck boxes. Use the coupon ZABLOOS5 to get 5% off on everything on the website. YourPlaymat.com to create your own unique custom playmat, link down below. There's PotanStore.com to get TCG Live code cards for your TCG Live account, and they have instant email delivery, so definitely check it out. You can get 5% off on everything. And Cardmarket.com, if you're a European player, allows you to buy and sell cards to people all across Europe. Use the referral name ZABLOOSTCG to help support the channel. With that being said, Twilight Masquerade coming out on the 24th of May. As I being looked at here, this is actually not going to be that hard for the competitive binder. If you want to know what the top 20 best cards are, be sure to check out the video down below in the description. But yeah, this is the buy list, so hopefully you guys have something with that. So if you don't know what is good in the set, now you know. Have yourself a fantastic rest of your day. I'll see you guys tomorrow for more Pokemon TCG epicness. Peace.